What's up, man? Paulie Malignaggi for Paulie TV. Eubank versus Benn 2 is complete. Dominant win for Conor Benn. Some people didn't expect this. I'll tell you what, I was having a feeling Eubank, the weight may be an issue. The younger Benn with his explosiveness. I had some concerns about the fact that Benn, despite being the smaller guy, looked like the stronger guy in the first fight, even if Eubank obviously was able to pull that off with more intelligent boxing. And sure enough, we got our answer. Conor Benn wins in dominant fashion, makes a statement, an emphatic statement, and puts himself in a position to be able to call out who he wants. Obviously, Conor Benn with the last name. Obviously, these two guys both are boxing royalty with their last name. So the winner of this fight, not quite a fight of the year candidate, obviously, but the winner of this fight, Conor, and the way he was able to get the win, really put himself into a position where be able to call out who he wants. The post-fight interview, he and his team were talking about going back down to welterweight, maybe challenging for a world title. I think the low-hanging fruit there would have been Mario Barrios, but it looks like Barrios may be negotiating to fight Ryan Garcia. So in that situation, I would probably pick Ryan Garcia to win that fight. But, Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia, whoa, that would be a huge sell. I don't know who would win that fight. I'm still curious about Benn's possibilities of winning a world championship. I'm still not totally convinced. Listen, Eubank looked a little lackluster, a little almost shot. Maybe the struggle to get down to the weight could have been an issue. I'm not sure, but either way, you got to give Conor Benn credit for executing and defeating what was in front of him, and defeating what was in front of him very convincingly. 2 knockdowns in the last round really cemented the win in emphatic fashion, and really in a way where it becomes a statement win in that way. Again, you can nitpick between the lines like I did at the beginning of this video, where I'm saying, okay, was it Eubank's inability to make weight easily? Was it the combination of his age and the struggle to make weight? Possibly, but you got to still give Conor Benn credit here for the win and the way he was able to achieve it in dominant fashion. Because the first fight was very close. This fight was not close at all. This fight, Conor Benn was running away with it in the first half of the fight, and almost got the knockout in round 12. As a matter of fact, in the era of 15 rounds, this fight would not have gone the distance, because Eubank made the distance by the skin of his teeth. If Benn goes down to welterweight, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think he can win a welterweight championship? I look at the champions right now at welterweight, and what do you got? You got obviously Ennis is gone, right? You got what's that guy? Crocker, the IBF champion. He's from Ireland? That may be a fight that could be made for Conor Benn. Then there's obviously the winner of Garcia and Barrios. I think if Benn can beat a Crocker, possibly. Again, it's a weak welterweight division, so Benn I think has a chance here. But then you can make a big fight between Benn and Garcia. Imagine that. I don't think either of them are the best we've seen, but certainly two very popular fighters. Who could make for a major mega promotion. But I think it's a 2-step process here, because Ryan first has to beat Barrios, and Benn has to then beat Crocker, if that's the fight that gets made. I'm just obviously speculating here as to what could happen. The winner of Haney and Norman, I think it's a bit far-fetched for Benn right now. I don't know what Haney has left. I mean, we'll see confidence-wise how he looks. Obviously, Norman's been looking really good. Haney, is solid. He's probably the biggest name in this weight class as far as having recognizable wins, and the most impressive wins was he's beaten some good ex-champions, as well as Lomachenko at the end of Lomachenko's career as well. I know Benn has a win over Chris Algieri, but that's kind of marred with some controversy. It was during a run where Benn was going through everybody like a hot knife through butter, and then failed the drug test. I know he cleared his name, but he's never looked that devastating before or since. So still, you always think, at least you're always curious about something like that, But regardless, you got to consider the momentum Benn is on now with this win, and where he could go, and the possibilities, because he is a big name. It is a big name here, and when you have this a big name like this, and you get a big win like this, stadium win like this, you create options that not every fighter is able to create. It's not all of us that can go get a win and then have these kind of options. But Conor Benn, between the kind of win that he got, the manner of win that he got, and then the big name that he does have, has put himself in this position. I think that's, you know, what I just said about a two-step plan could be could make things interesting for the welterweight division in general. You know, I think there's some good fighters in the welterweight division, but it's starved of names. And right now, Ryan Garcia entering the welterweight fray, coming back, and then now Conor Benn returning to the welterweight division. Devin Haney and Norman, the winner of that fight, really creates a name, some big name recognition for themselves. I think you're going to start to build some excitement in the welterweight division that has been missing for a little bit. We had Boots Ennis for a little while, but it was just Boots and nobody else. You know, you may have here, you're starting to create a welterweight division where there's some participation here as far as the name recognition and sort of lightning rod figures that will, you know, attract a lot of viewership to the welterweight division. And I think that's needed, because the welterweight division has always been one of those weight classes that has had a lot of star potential or star power in boxing history, and it's sort of was going through a weak period right now. But I think, you know, this could build the return of Benn to the welterweight division could certainly be part of what builds up some juice in that welterweight division, especially a Conor Benn that is coming off of a win like this. And we'll see where he's able to get. Again, I think if Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn are able to win championships, I think that could be an interesting sell. You know, but of course, keeping in mind that Norman and Haney are also fighting, and the winner of that fight also puts themselves in a really good position, especially if the winner of that fight is able to win in an impressive fashion as well. You know, the undercard had some interesting battles. You know, Adam Azim with a late stoppage. That was, you know, the fight looked like it was going to distance. Credit to Adam Azim, who's a hungry prospect. Has been an impressive prospect. There's a hungry prospect, because a lot of fighters would have just stepped off the gas, seeing Scobie was just trying to survive. So Scobie was in pretty much survival mode most of the fight, just looking to go to distance. Barely tried to win that fight, especially once he saw he was outclassed. And a lot of fighters would have just sat back into cruise control if they were Adam Azim's position, and they would have just cruised to a comfortable points win. But credit to Adam Azim for wanting to not only win, but wanting to continue to impress the way he's been impressing in boxing circles, and that's the reason he was able to get that stoppage. Hurt Scobie late in round 11 and got an emphatic stoppage in round 12 against a guy that it's not easy to stop when you got a guy who's in full survival mode, you know. And Azim was able to get a Scobie who would pretty much in survival mode almost the entire fight and got him out of there. That to me is more impressive, and fighters know how difficult it is to get a stoppage against a guy who's just trying to go to distance and isn't giving you much because he's not even trying to win anymore. So credit to Adam Azim for that win. Also credit to Jack Catterall, honestly. You know, a more active Jack Catterall. You know, I thought Esserman had a big chance to get an upset here. Catterall is not always that active. And Catterall was more active, more responsive. Not to say that Catterall winning is a surprise. Obviously, he was the favorite. You know, I thought there was an upset opportunity here because Esserman had beaten a faded Josh Taylor, and Catterall, you're still not sure about how faded he is as well. But the work in Philadelphia with Bozianis, I think, really showed here. You know, Catterall was responsive to anything Esserman brought. It was a good competitive fight. I thought Catterall, you know, got off to a good start, but Esserman was pushing back and making Catterall uncomfortable, which is what makes the stoppage by Catterall all the more impressive, because he got the stoppage at a moment where Esserman was really pushing to make him uncomfortable. So that's not only a good win, but also a win that's accomplished in impressive fashion. And he gets a stoppage of an Esserman that was ascending, especially had a lot of momentum behind him after the Josh Taylor win. So solid card overall. You know, what's next? What's next for Eubank now? You know, everybody's talking about Eubank may get a shot at Canelo if he's able to beat Benn again, and obviously Eubank was favored. But does Eubank retire now, or does he go up to a weight, maybe to 168, where he won't struggle to make weight? If Eubank doesn't have to struggle to make weight, is he a better fighter? Or is this just the end of Eubank between all the money he's made in these two fights and the fact that he is, you know, didn't look very lackluster tonight? You know, that's my coverage of this fight, guys. You're gonna see this Band-Aid here above my eye. Obviously, this is not fresh, but I know I got a lot of hate back when you see this little bump on my eye, below my eyebrows. I know I got a lot of hate when I was complaining about the NHS when they didn't give me my stitches, made me wait all night to get the stitches in the fight. Well, unfortunately, you know, I thought this bump was some scar tissue from the cut. As you can see, there's a scar here, but as you'll notice, the bump is away from the cut. It's below the cut. So this is actually what has happened to my eye is an infection has grown on top of my eye, below my eyebrow, and it's likely due to the fact that they left me with an open wound in a hospital full of germs all night. And now that I think about it, when I finally got the stitches in the morning, which was like 8 hours later, I was so excited just to get the stitches and get the hell out of there because I was so tired of waiting. I don't think I realized that. I don't think the doctor actually cleaned me with alcohol before he stitched me up. He just stitched me right up. So after being in the hospital all night, waiting for stitches in a hospital with severely open wounds in a hospital, obviously hospitals are full of germs. I got these stitches, and despite the fact that the scars are healing pretty well, you know, obviously the cuts are healing pretty well. There's a scar there, but you know, it's healing pretty well. I got this bump on my eye now, man. I got to get it checked out. In the next couple of days, I'm going to go to a doctor if this doesn't subside, because obviously if there is an infection, it's near my eye, it's on my head, so it's close to my brain, so I'm not going to take any chances. But yeah, another check mark for the NHS. That is, I mean, I was talking about third world stuff. That's fifth world stuff, guys. That is incredible. The fact that I'm still dealing with this because of third world level medical system in England. I don't care about what you tell me about, oh, taxpayers this and taxpayers that, buddy. Anybody who was in that hospital would have had to wait, including your taxpayers. You got me? Because there was nobody in there that could stitch me. So whether I was they don't know that a non-taxpayer came in, or a guy who doesn't live there, whatever you want to call it, came in there and doesn't deserve stitches. Whoever would have came in my position, even if somebody who lived there. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about the NHS has nothing to do with your taxes. So don't give me moronic answers about that, responses about that, just because you watch too much TV and you're getting caught up in the idiotic political debates. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm dealing with this now. Right now, it's nothing too serious, but it could turn serious. So in the next couple of days, I've got to get to a doctor. If this doesn't subside, I've got some medication on it, taking some antibiotic pills, and we'll see where it goes from there. But that's it. That's my coverage for Eubank and Benn. Where does Eubank go from here? Where does Benn go from here? Do you think Benn can be an addition to the welterweight division and a fun addition to the welterweight division? And do you think Benn can be a welterweight world champion? What do you think of Jack Catterall's performance? And Adam Azim, is he a hot prospect or what? I'm Paulie Reacts. This is Paulie TV.